Welcome to the Chris Hanna Show, your go-to podcast for diving deep into the world of solopreneurship. I'm Chris Hanna. I'm the all-in solopreneur. I've been there and I've done that in the realm of creating multiple one-person businesses. Each episode, I'm here to share with you all the insider tips, tricks, and lessons learned, sometimes the hard way, that have shaped my journey. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to scale your solo venture, this show is your personal playbook for success. So buckle up and join me as we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between on the road to successfully winning as a solopreneur. Let's go all in. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Chris Hanna Show. Today we are talking about the importance of being everywhere in your content marketing. You see, in today's digital age, I consider content marketing not just about creating high quality content. Obviously that's important, that is critical. But it's about, I think, being strategically omnipresent. And when I use the word omnipresent, I mean being seen almost everywhere. Because your audience, honestly, is all over the place. Your audience is not just in one spot. They're not just on one channel. Your audience, maybe hangs out on LinkedIn and Facebook. Maybe they're YouTube. Maybe they're podcast listeners. Maybe they like to read versus actually seeing video content, whatever it's going to be. So therefore, I think that your strategy needs to be one of being everywhere. And it's tough to do it, by yourself. It's tough to do it effectively. But that's what I want to talk about here today, and how you can be everywhere with your content marketing. Because I think when you have that increased visibility and awareness, like being on multiple platforms, it makes a huge difference for you. I think the more touch points that you have, the more likely they're going to remember you and they're going to recognize your brand. I can't tell you how many times I've been out and about in public and people have come up to me and said, "Hey, I think I know you from somewhere." Whether it's been in a networking event or even I've been out for dinner with my wife, and people have said that, "Hey, I think I've seen you somewhere." And it's like, you probably saw me online, probably saw me in a video. Some people have come up and said they've come across my podcast before back in the day. So like there's multiple places that I've been seen because I intentionally focus on trying to be seen as much as possible and be everywhere. Like I'm really trying to ramp up this year with more and more content, not just daily stuff, but putting out multiple times per day now content. Again, just to expand that reach. And you might only get maybe a couple hundred views per certain stuff. Maybe sometimes you get thousands of views. It doesn't really matter. You're getting views, and eyeballs are that currency. And so I think the more times you're seen, the more business you can potentially get, because at the end of the day, it's about reaching a broader audience. I think that different platforms obviously cater to different demographics and interests, right? Like Facebook is known more as the older generation's tool. And for a long time, I ignored it, but there's actually tons of value for me being on Facebook. And I never really realized that. I discounted it. I thought for all I needed to do was focus hardcore on LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn, yes, they got more of the business side of things on there, but it hasn't been as successful for me as, say, Facebook. So finding that right audience is important. So finding the right channel that works, but maybe you can have different content on different channels and maybe tweaks and adjustments accordingly to contextualize it. And that's going to help you tap into a broader audience, tap into new markets who might not engage just through that single channel that you're on. I know like there's a time in my life where I knew that certain people would not respond on LinkedIn because they worked for other people and they might like some of the content that I was putting out, especially content around like quitting your job, becoming a solopreneur, but they won't publicly like that on that channel because, their bosses might follow them. Or, employees that they work with or colleagues, I guess, might not like the fact that they're liking somebody's content or my content in particular. So again, you got to be in different channels because that gives people the opportunity to interact with you differently because, again, people have different things. Like TikTok might be a place for you to go and put content versus maybe putting it on LinkedIn. So therefore, put content everywhere so then the people who do feel comfortable interacting can. I think that like the more you can obviously level up your game in terms of reinforcing your message, increasing your frequency of how many messages you're putting out, the better you're going to be. Like repetition, I think, is a key principle both in advertising and in branding. So when you're everywhere in terms of your strategy, you can reinforce your message, you can increase the frequency of exposure, which is crucial for people to recall your brand and recall like what you do, and also helps you persuade as well. Because at the end of the day, like any content that you put out there, it doesn't matter if it's video, podcast, blog post, carousel post, just a normal picture, whatever it is, it's all about trying to build authority and trust. And you're trying to get people to know, like, and trust you. So the more times you're seen, the more likely that they will start to feel like they know, like, and trust you. Consistent quality content is what establishes your brand as an authority in your field. So the more places that you're seen, the more credible, the more trustworthy you're going to appear. Now, as I said earlier, though, every platform has different strengths and weaknesses. Some are, more catered to certain types of platform content. Obviously, like a content platform like TikTok and YouTube, that's all video. Instagram is highly visual. Twitter is concise and it's more textual based. You can put obviously images and video on there, but it's more the text that people are going for, those conversations. Blogs are more detailed if you want to get really specific into something. So being everywhere lets you, I think, leverage other platform strengths to communicate your message more effectively. And I think when you also are spread out across multiple platforms, it gives you, let's call it resilience, I think, against platform changes that might happen. Because here's the reality, is that every platform has got different, features that they try and add and test, or they tweak their algorithms and things go up, down, pushed all over the place. For a long time, I'm going to feel like I'm harping on LinkedIn here, but I spent a lot of my time on LinkedIn. You could get a lot more reach on LinkedIn. And then they started to change things with regards to videos, I should say, where videos aren't being pushed as hardcore as what carousel posts were or polls were. So then you saw that people started to switch, but then you're doing the same content, but you're getting no engagement. So it's, again, your platforms, if you're just on one, you're really leaving the fate of your business or your personal brand into the hands of those who control those platforms. So if you're on multiple, you spread the risk around. It's kind of like diversifying stocks. Like, it has been so good, I think, for people to realize that, you have to spread yourself around. I think it's critical and it's important. And then also just realize that, if you want to be seen everywhere, it takes a bit of planning and effort. So I'm going to give you 4 steps, or maybe 5 steps I'll give you, that are going to, I think, help you be seen everywhere more effectively. First, understand your audience. Know where your audience spends their time and focus on those platforms. For me, I don't think, and I don't believe it's worthwhile for me to go on certain platforms like, say, Pinterest as an example. That's not for me. That's not my audience. So therefore, I'm not going to go on that channel. Second thing is to repurpose your content. So repurpose for different platforms, saves you time, saves you resources. You can do the same video across the board, but you can tweak it, maybe tweaking the copy, maybe tweaking the thumbnail, and how you're going to post that across each channel. Maintain quality and consistency. Make sure that your brand voice and your quality remains consistent across all those platforms. So, you can have some subtle differences, but again, that consistency is important. So people look at you and hey, I trust this person because they are genuinely the same type of person across the board. Strategically schedule. I'm a big believer in this. This is what I do with my company as well. And I've been a big believer of it since, I'd say, about 2018. Strategically scheduling your content. There are tools out there. I've tried a lot of them. I've tried Hootsuite and Buffer and TweetDeck, when I was doing a lot more on Twitter. Later. The one that I love to use is Metricool. Metricool really helps me maintain that consistent presence without really feeling overwhelmed. I can have a lot of my content scheduled far in advance across myself and my clients. Get great analytics with it as well. It's a great tool. And then when it comes to that strategic scheduling and the analytics, then you got to monitor and adapt, tweak things as you see what's going on. If your metrics are showing to you that you're not performing well, adapt your strategy as needed. So again, being everywhere in content marketing, I don't think it's about spreading yourself thin. It's about being strategically omnipresent where it matters most. You can enhance your brand's visibility, your authority, and engagement by really understanding your audience, leveraging different platforms, strengths, being consistent, and having that quality presence. So I think if you are trying to stand out in today's crowded digital landscape, you have to remember that being everywhere is not a strategy. It's a necessity. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Chris Hanna Show. As always, if you're looking for help, you're looking for support, we are here to help you with our all-in content. We can make sure that you have an omnipresent content marketing plan. So book your free strategy call today. Let's identify the key platforms for your audience, and we'll craft a plan with you that puts your brand everywhere it needs to be. You can elevate your brand's presence and become a content marketing powerhouse, especially with video. When you're looking to grow your brand, go all in with us. And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Chris Hanna Show. Thank you for tuning in and going all in with me on this journey. If you're craving more opportunities to supercharge your solopreneur journey, don't forget to visit allincontent.ca. At All In Content, we're dedicated to providing top-tier content creation and strategy services. We help solopreneurs like you make a big impact with your one-person businesses. We do this through video creation. We not only record, edit, caption those videos, we also schedule them on social media for you so that you have a consistent presence that continues to bring you business month after month after month. Remember, in the world of solopreneurship, your story is your strength, and we're here to help you tell it. Until next time, stay motivated, stay focused, and more importantly, stay all in. I'm Chris Hanna, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Keep pushing boundaries and making waves.